I'm not doing a speech tonight. I'll have to say something. On the 12th, I'm doing a speech. On the 12th, I'm doing a talk. But I'll say like something that just for the camera, all right?
It was an exquisite opportunity to put these two things together. We feel the exhibition, which is an incisive and dramatic portrait of 50 years of Afro-Caribbean funerals in London, is a beautiful complement to the play. You're all going to get a leaflet on the way out which tells you about the play, but also about Charlie's talk, which he's going to give on the 12th of May. I must punt that. You must come along to the talk for Charlie. We're going to now hand over to three friends who have come tonight, Makeda, Niles and Empress, who are going to officially open the exhibition tonight. Could you please welcome them, Makeda?
Thank you so much. Good evening.
Good evening.
Okay. Thank you so much for joining us. We meet with gratitude and expectation to launch this landmark exhibition, How Great Thou Art, by the incomparable Charlie Phillips. Let's give him a round of applause. You love Charlie. Many of you are familiar with Charlie's photographic artistry. You are aware of his value as a pioneering and long-standing cultural griot. So again, another round of Charlie. Charlie is all of this plus more. And now this is the second commercial. That's why we really want you to come and see him for the talk on May the 12th. If you've seen Charlie before, you know that there is really no script. He's not going to be holding any pieces of paper like myself. Charlie is going to be organic. He's going to be spontaneous. He's going to be deep. He's going to be engaging. He might even be annoying. He's going to be provocative. You don't want to miss it. You don't want to miss it. And now, to begin, we know what we need to do. We don't know if this is the first time we've had this experience at the National. Maybe we'll find out later. But let's begin with a libation by Brother Niles Hailstones. Niles is a master percussionist, a composer and band leader, a community activist, and a music educator. Please put your hands together and share some love for Niles Hailstones.
Welcome, it's good to see you here. It's always an honor to do this because, like, as much as this is about funerals and the whole cultural tradition of that, in the African tradition it's a cycle of life and death and rebirth, right? So as much as we celebrate that, we celebrate life as well, yeah? So it especially pleases me to be here because we're celebrating one of our living legends while he's alive. Did you get what I'm saying? It's a blessing that we are gathered here today, yeah? All many different people here to pay respects to our ancestors, those who came before us. Yeah? So let's bless this day today for Charlie and for the whole community that benefits from this living archive we have here, right? And let that works continue to grow, continue to spread, just like the water that flows into this earth. If you agree, say Asheo. Asheo. Let this inspire the coming generations to follow in Charlie's footsteps. Yeah? And Asheo. This has been started, this is what we need, you know? This one is for the works of the living archive to continue and to spread and create 1,000 more archives. Asheo. Maybe 1 million more archives. Asheo. All right.
It's not just about somebody dying, it's also about celebrating someone's life. And this has been an old traditional song, yeah? So we all join in. And, oh Lord my God, where
It's a pleasure that I can be here with you tonight to just share an excerpt from this particular book. Now, there are 5 essays that accompany the photographs, and I know Charlie's looking to have some more copies of the book printed, and we're looking for you that are here today, not to just say that you salute our griot Charlie, but to show that indeed we need help to get more books out there. The first run, the books all went. Right about now, we got people waiting for more copies. We've been speaking to schools everywhere. We want this to be taken to the children. You see, at the moment, They don't see life coming in, but they're taking life out. We want them to understand the value and how we should really be honoring life, so that when the time comes, we can truly celebrate ourselves and others.
Okay, we're off and running.
Caribbean time. If I don't come early and in time, you just say, oh, it's gone crazy or something. But I'm waiting now, we couldn't get it. There's a big demonstration, and my project manager couldn't get it with her, but she's on her way. So we thought we'd start about here. So thanks for coming on a nice rainy afternoon like this. I guess you all want to know a bit about my life. Or my work. Which one is more important, my life or my work? Yeah, I'm not going to tell you everything. Yeah? You have to ask about yourself and say, is he really telling the truth? Yeah? Okay, anyway, thanks for coming anyway. I'd like to see, it's nice to see some young people here as well. Because we're coming up to the 5th generation, and there's a lot of missing history. Whether you like it or not, our foreparents never passed anything down to us. So give this little young lady a nice round of applause. And after this talk, I hope you'll circulate it amongst your friends and tell them that you've seen a different part of the culture of London that you didn't know about. Yeah? Because it's been excluded from the educational book. Okay. I don't even know where to start. Okay. All right. Yeah. We're going through a very important part of our life because everybody's getting on the bandwagon. Windrush one. Yeah, I was a Windrush kid. Yeah, because I came over just at the end of Windrush. Yeah. So I won't get on that bandwagon now, but I have to include it because it's also a part of my growing up in London, and it's also a part of my history. Yeah? Yeah? So, but everybody's getting on the Windrush bandwagon, and they're 35 years too late. In fact, no, seriously, because 35 years ago when I wanted to show my work around, yeah, nobody wanted it. They excluded it. So what you've seen now is work that's been hidden under the attic, underneath my back. I'm getting carried away here. Is it all right if I speak in my own dialect? Yeah, because we're supposed to be multicultural Britain, and you can understand the Irish dialect, and the Scottish dialect, and the Geordie dialect. All of us understand full dialect. All right? Yeah? Y'all relax then, yeah? If you don't understand what I said, just ask your next door neighbor, or the person who's sitting next door to you, yeah? Yeah? Because we keep it real, and with an audience like this, believe you make me feel at home. I'm not going to talk for long today because I've got another appointment, so I'm glad that the National Theatre has granted me an hour, because if I did take my Prozac, you'd have get about 3 hours, yeah? Extra but stuff. Now, we came over in 1956 on the boat Reina del Pacifico, and it was the time where Notting Hill Gate was a ghetto. Yeah? In our community, I came over in the midst of the Hungarian Revolution, and in where I was growing up, you had a lot of immigrants. We had the Irish, we had the Hungarian, we had the Africans, we had the Afro-Caribbean. There wasn't much Asians around at the time, a few Greeks as well, yeah? Because even when I went to school, my schoolmate was Hungarian, yeah? And they came. But that's how it started. And we used to live in like a Ratman property. Yeah? This is where a family of 4 used to live in one room. Nobody provided anything for us. Nobody provided anything for us. There wasn't any social housing at the time. Yeah, so this is where you find a family of 4 would live in one room. Yeah? There's no great-grands here. Is there, no? Any grandparents here? No, before your time.
There's a great-grandmother coming.
Yeah? Yeah, because when I tell people the story, they don't believe it. Yeah, a family of 4 used to live in one room, and the paraffin heater would be in the middle of the room with a kettle on top. In the corner of it would be a radiogram, a blue spot radiogram, and we used to tune into Radio Luxembourg, Voice of America. And I always remember the Billy Cotton Band show on a Sunday morning. Wakey, wakey, rise and shine, yeah? Okay. But at the time, there was a Cold War going on,
and there was lots of Americans floating around, and this is the time when they used to come and take our women away, take our girlfriends away. And when Nottingham was a ghetto, we couldn't go to, there was any facilities for entertainment at the Lyceum or Hammersmith Palace, because we didn't want to dance to Joe Loss and we come to the wall. We wanted the boogie. So we used to listen to Fats Domino in basements. That was called Shabines. Yeah? Yes. I guess some people call it speakeasy. Yeah? And this is how I started my life. Well, anyway, this GI, this Yankee we used to call him, because, yeah, I don't know if anybody remember that famous song, the Yankee Gone and Sparrow take over now. It was that era, yeah? And this is, we used to call the American GIs, Yankee used to come because he used to take all our women away, and you know, and some of them wanted a trip to America, and it was a big thing at the time. So but there's shouts at the Jamaican women at the time, Caribbean women at the time, because all these Yankee GIs used to take them away from me. So we used to dance with them and try to do the funky chicken and all that. But anyway, this Yankee GI, he got so legless in a shubie, he left his camera, Kodak Renata, yeah? And I got all of it. And my father gave 15 shillings because he had to go back to the base in Brighton. None. Am I boring you? No. Let's start coming to further. Guess what I really wanted to be? Can you guess what I really wanted to be? When my youth employment officer says, Charlie, what do you want to do? What do you want to do when you leave school? See? Well, I wanted to be an opera singer. Yeah, I wanted to be an opera singer, or I wanted to be a naval architect. And he goes, what? You can't do that. Why don't you get a job in London Transport or the RA? Yeah, why don't you get a job in London Transport or the RA or the post office? Yeah, because that seems job secure for you. Yeah, but anyway, that's part of the story. Come to it. But how I got into photography now, we thought we'd only stay here for 5 years. Yeah, so I got this camera from this Yankee, and I started what we call snapping photographs. Who's heard about me before? Anybody in the audience heard about me before? Yeah, well that took me out of retirement, you see what I mean? Because in this part of my life I thought, what I'll be doing is to attend my allotment and finish reading War and Peace. Because years ago when I used to show my photograph, I go, it's not the type of thing we think of blended, blah, 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 yeah? But that's a side of it. But I was into the opera. I was very much an operaist. I always remember this music teacher. When I first came over from Jamaica, yeah, she goes, Charlie, what kind of songs do you know? What kind of songs do you know? What kind of songs do you used to sing in Jamaica? Yeah. So I used to say, one of the favorite songs in Jamaica as a school kid was Waltzing Matilda, you come a waltzing. You know that? Yeah. And she said, what other songs do you know, Charlie? She said, in Dublin's fair city, where the girls are so pretty, I first met my eyes on sweet Molly, yeah. She said, bloody hell. Do you really sing them songs? So she says, Charlie, do you know any Negro spirituals? I said, of course I bloody well do, miss. She says, can you sing one for us? So when the class was finished, she used to get with the cars, and I sang, but in this nice angelic voice, yeah? Oh boy, when I was 11, 12, I had a nice alto voice, angelic, and I sang, when Israel was in Egypt's land, let my people go. Everything's I understand, let my people go. Go down, Moses, way down in Egypt. Oh, sorry, we're getting out carried away there. Way down in Egypt's land, tell Pharaoh. Yeah, but that's a part of my life anyway, so I just have to give you a background to show you I wasn't really into photography. But she wrote a letter to my parents, yeah? This woman used to live in one room, and they were so hypocritical, yeah? All through the week we play Fats Domino and Boogie and all that. Sunday morning time, they put on some Jim Reeves. Jim Reeves to I'm going to leave Satan behind, or come closer to me, so I can see everything you're right. You don't remember them too, before you time, yeah? But that's a part, so, but she wrote a letter, and said, this guy's got potential. Yeah, because when I sang her, when Israel was in Egypt, she offered to give me free lessons. And the thing why I never became an opera singer is because my parents at that time thinking to spend 5 years in England. I don't want you going with the opera, come up. I don't want you to come here singing opera. Making a lot of nice. called Maria Lanza, who brought out a film called The Student Prince. Who can go back that far? And it's a tune in music. Because you're mine, the brightest stars I see, look down my love for you. You remember that, yeah? Say, thanks for confirming it. Because when I tell the younger generation, they don't believe it, yeah? Anyway, I started taking photographs with this Kodak Renetta. And at the time I used to do a paper round. And sometimes when I give talks, it freaks the professional photographers who exist today because I'm different. Because the reason I'm saying different, I didn't serve no apprentice with no photographer. I didn't work with any other photographer. I wasn't trained. I didn't go to college. I didn't have nails behind FRP and BA behind my name. Guess how I learned my trade? No! I went to Boots Chemist and bought a 30 shilling. I bought a 30 shilling. No, sorry, 15 shilling that day. No, sorry, 3 and 6. 3 and 6. I bought a 3 and 6 book that said do-it-yourself photography. It was made by Patterson, how to take photo, and it upsets a lot of the professionals, it upsets the Baileys, and it upsets the Terrence O'Donovan, and it upsets the amateur when I say, how I learned my trade was a 3 and 6 book I bought from Boots Chemist, do-it-yourself photography. Are you with us yet, yeah? And I started taking photographs of my community, put it in an album, hoping that one day when we go back to Jamaica, we'll show what life was like in England. In the cold. In the snow. Yeah? No, seriously, that was the whole plan, yeah? Anyway, this GI left a magazine called the Saturday Evening Post. And sometimes how your life can be changed just with a picture. I saw a picture, and it's not till later on in years I found it was done by an American graphic artist called Norman Rockwell. I don't know if you ever seen that picture. The policeman, over the little kid, called the runaway. And I said, yes, when I get old enough, I want to run away from this one room, bedsit, fighting over the radiogram. You know, the English neighbors, I said, turn that bloody music down. And when you give it that nice bass, when my parents used to go, I used to have a blue spot radiogram, and we used to give it that nice bass line, you know? I found my truth on Blueberry Hill. You remember? Nobody remembers that. But anyway, that's how it started. So I started to take snaps. We call it photographs. I used to snap people. Yeah? So when I used to go on the shoe beans and some of the illegal clubs, and I said, Charlie, better snap them. So you snap them and you charge them 3 and 6 for a postcard size. And the ball, and I said, you make me 2 black man, light up the thing. Seriously. Yeah, seriously. Yeah, make me a bit grey man, take it out. And some people used to take that photograph and be colored in. Because at that time, color photography wasn't very popular. Sure, I've still got one in the photograph, my passport photograph, when we come here, we had it enlarged, and we had it painted in, you know? Look sharp still. And those type of photographs has become a collector's item now. So I started snapping over the years, getting 3 and 6 for a photograph, 4 and 6 for a photograph. But one of the things that came up, my first funeral, when my Auntie Susie died, was in 1962. I started to take photographs. Nowadays, well, who's seen some of my collection? Yeah? You're not in the gate in the 60s, Roots to Reckoning, the urban images, yeah? And it's so, and I've got another one coming out too, because it's another part of my life, La Dolce Vita era. But it's going to freak you out because you've probably seen some of these other images of some of the film stars and all that. But in those days, I couldn't sell it. I didn't sell it directly. I used to have an agent who used to sell it. And nowadays, when I tell people that's my work, I said, "Did you really take it?" I said, "Of course I take it." Yeah. But anyway, so I started snapping, taking photographs, and in the shoe beans and in our community. And that photograph, that picture, as I said, by Norman Rockwell, that was the one that inspired me to tell our story, document our history, because I wasn't, and I wasn't even commissioned. Yeah. You got a seat? You all right? Okay. Thanks for coming. Yeah. Thanks for coming. Yeah. Next time, don't make it West Indian time. Yeah? I was telling you. I'm the only one who can come here. So I was telling you this. Yeah? No, but that's the point. Now, I started taking photographs, documenting our history, because our history is always done by outsiders or done by academics, and nobody recognized that at the moment. So anyway, when I started making a few, I got involved with the student movements. I've done a lot of work in Paris during the big student uprising, because in those days, Che Guevara was my era, and we wanted a revolution. Yeah. In fact, I'm just coming from the BFI where they showed a film about young Karl Marx. That's how the way we were adopted. This was before sex, drugs, and rock and roll came on the scene. We wanted to be revolution. We used to go on demonstration like bang the bomb. You know. It's not just a pull as well, no, but we used to go on, I used to do another photograph on Bond C&D, you know, the beatnik era, yeah? That's the era we're talking about. And look what how the culture of London has changed now, yeah? Because it was a beat era I was part of. So, anyway, I was in Paris, and I ended up in this big student riot, yeah, outside the Garden Wall, yeah, and we had a punch-up to the police. I don't know where that collection is, but I was in solidarity with the student movement in the 50s and 60s. So I ended up in, I just had to dust Paris, man. So I hitchhiked, and I ended up in Rome, yeah? In circa 1968, during the Dolce Vita era. This is when Elizabeth Taylor and Richard Burton was making the film Cleopatra, and then you could have got some extra parts. I was outside Piazza di Spagna one day, and I saw all these paparazzi. I didn't know they were paparazzi taking photographs. So I had my camera, so I started taking photographs there, and I ended up doing some extra work in Cleopatra. And you wouldn't see me in that, because in Philly, it's a T-Recon. I was an extra, but that was to make money. But in the meantime, I sold some photographs to an agent, you know. I photographed them all, yeah, but a lot of people didn't know, yeah. But I actually went there hoping I could do a course in opera singing, yeah. But I ended up in a commune, and they were all left-wingers, yeah. This is what we used to dress as Che Guevara, the Berry, yeah. We wanted revolution. And they said, you can't sing opera. That's a bourgeois borghese music. Yeah? So what happens, when the opera season used to start, we used to go out and throw flour and eggs at these people, especially in the opening night. But that's another part of history. Yeah? That's another part of my life. But then I used to come backwards and forwards to London, and I started photographing our community growing up in our community. Over the years, I've seen some of my early photographs is people who I've grown up with. And I said, I've done 3 series already. Well, what's on here, I'm thanks for the National Theatre to combine it with 9 Nights, you see? Caribbean Funeral has always been a special subject for me, and I've documented it over the last 50 years. 1962, what year is it? 1962 to 56 years? Wow, time flies, yeah? And I was only thinking if I'd spent 5 years in England, you know, go overseas at that, yeah. And over the years, this particular subject is over the years you can see how it's changed a lot, yeah, because the main theme of the song is how great thou art. Yeah, we used to have a strong dress code. You wear black, yeah. You wear black. Yeah, we used to have the shepherds. You don't see that anymore. The shepherd is the one, if you don't know the song. The mother called out, "And bless my soul, my Savior, unto thee." And you're driving, "And bless my soul, my Savior, unto thee. How great thou art, how great thou art, how great thou art." Yeah, and that's one of the tradition, yeah. You used to have a strong dress code where everybody that dresses in black, purple, or grey, yeah. 50 years later, the whole tradition is out the door. Guess one of the favorite songs though in the modern day Caribbean? You see them dressing a red and a blue and a yellow and this. Yeah? And sometimes you think they're at a fashion show sometimes. You see them wear mini skirts. Yeah? No, seriously. And it's a tradition that's gone out the door. Guess what's one of the anybody can guess 2 of the most popular music in a Caribbean, modern day Caribbean funeral, especially when what's important when they put in that coffin, yeah? And you start going, oh my God, oh God, oh God, yeah? You don't see that anymore. No, people them just, yeah? You don't see the bawling and the moaning and, you don't leave, I don't want to, yeah? That's where the funerals are real funerals, you know? Seriously. And guess what you see now? They must sing boring song, simply the best. You see that? And songs for my father, but the one that the one that really dread me is when the coffin, I'll go down, they must sing, and now the end is here, I travel each and every byway. That's in the Caribbean side, yeah? And it's got Frank Sinatra, I'm sorry, you know, in my Jack culture, yeah? As far as I go, but this is it. And how it's changed over the years. Yeah. Years ago, Caribbean funeral wasn't just about death. It was supposed to celebrate somebody's life as well. And this is what a lot of people can't understand. Now, the undertakers are capitalizing into Caribbean funeral because it's one of the most profitable funerals. It's not a quickie thing. It's 2 days, you have 9 days of mourning, 9 days of balling, and I don't know where they get the money for buying the champagne, and the rum punch, and the curry goat, and all that, yeah? And the sounds. I went to a night the other night, to vouch, and it was like a best show on earth, believe you me, yeah? Now, and it's just in the last 4 years now, the undertakers are beginning to learn how to conduct Caribbean funeral, the procession, the white hearse, the white horse, the doves. Yeah, it's unbelievable. And you see these people before them pass, they say, let me 500, I don't get money, but when they come to funeral, the money come out of the building society and the partner and everything. Yeah, because they want them good send out, but when they're alive, I've got to some amazing funeral. And I said, I never know them people have that type of money. Yeah, champagne, the dove, yeah? And this is how it's changed. And the whole idea is to celebrate the life of someone, yeah? Well, I'm not in that bracket because I just want a simple funeral. And you want ball over me, yeah? Because I didn't say this, but no, I don't want to say this. But anyway, but that's a part of it. I've documented our history. This is part of the history that we learn in school. This is part of the history that's been overlooked. And yet, it's a part of British history. Whether you like it or not, it is a part of British history. It's a part of British culture because as long as it happens here in England, it's a part of it, but it's been overlooked by the educational system. It's been overlooked by the traditions, and it's part of the London tradition now. So later on, if you want, I can take you for a little quickie tour and explain some of the photographs for you. Yeah? What else was I saying? But yes, coming back to it now, you find nowadays when you go to Afro-Caribbean films, the thing you look out for is a good bit of gossip. Yeah. Another thing you look out for, Caribbean film, why is it them like to bring the dirty laundry out on funeral day? When I say the dirty laundry, this is some fights and punch-ups. Yeah, sometimes you see some fights and punch-ups as well, you know? They always bring the dirty laundry out. No, seriously, the Caribbean funeral scene is such a dramatic thing. Sometimes I don't know, nobody makes a real true story about it. But you find people bring the dirty laundry out. When it's a dirty laundry, bring up things from the past, you know? Who going to get who, and you never used to look after daddy, so you're not, when they get written out of the will. So it's a nice place to get gossips as well, you know? The third thing is the entertainment, because, yeah, you come from a funeral and you say, oh, what's that funeral? You say, boy, that funeral died in dread. Why? It's only 30 people turn up. Yeah? The beauty about Caribbean funeral now, the beauty about it's open to everybody. It's the only time we really have an open house. You don't even have to know the people. You just turn up, you look the part, And it's the only place you need feel welcome. When in my life, yeah, some of these people that would make you feel welcome at the yard. You know, if you go to the yard and you get a cup of tea. Yeah, but it's true, yeah? And that's part of the tradition that's been left out of it. And all this I've documented. The third thing you look for is a fashion, yeah? Because if it's the same people at a funeral 2 weeks' time, and I'm wear the same clothes, it's a nice gossip party. It's a woman give a change, man. She'll wear the same dress, you know, yeah? Or the same way. No, it's true. Yeah? No, can anybody come for it? It's true. It's true. She'll have the same hairstyle, she'll wear the same wig. Yeah? No, seriously. And this is part of, the Caribbean, you know, has been properly documented. And, you know, I'm glad I've done it. So we can look back in the past and say, well, you know, this is part of our culture, this is a part of our history. You made a note of that? Yeah? You tell your friends what a nice, exciting after you didn't know we existed, yeah? Yeah? So anyway, so this is my life over the years, you know, because I wasn't commissioned to do any of this work. I wasn't commissioned, I had just done it out of my own free time. So how it came about after I had Roots to Reckoning, I found out I had a lot of archives and I was decluttering, and one day I look underneath, but I have all this negative, and it said funeral, and I never show nobody it. So with the help of Empress J here and other people, we happened to get this archive together. And we're still going through the archives as well, because our history has been properly documented. Our history hasn't been given a proper platform, but it's there, you know. So I hope some of the people who's in charge of the cultural runnings of London will come to terms to know that people like us existed, and we existed. Thanks for giving me a nice platform. But don't ask me about my past. I don't know, because I had a very deprived childhood. Yeah. Yeah. Who's first?
Me.
God.
I saw on the internet that you had an exhibition.
Louder, please.
Louder.
I'm doing some research into this area, and I saw you on the internet that there was an exhibition 2014 that you had this. Anyway, it said there was a book. Of
Which one?
How Great Thou Art.
Yes, but the publishers see that woman, but the publishers go on print.
I have been looking.
The publishers go on. I'm a poor photographer that they pan Amazon for 200 pounds now. While I'm here bloody broke. It's unbelievable. You know?
Couldn't see it. It's not for sale on Amazon. I tried to find it.
But some people buy it and put it on eBay. Investors, this is where you have the piranhas who don't treasure it because it was a limited edition. I say, yeah, I can make something off of this guy. So people bought them up and they put it on eBay. Every now and again you see it on eBay for 20 quid. They only cost 20 quid, and they're too expensive. That's on it.
So are they still available?
No, that's not available. But we're trying to get some more. We're trying to get some more copies done. Yeah, for the next platform or the next exhibition. If we can get this exhibition to travel, yeah, so you can tell your friends in the new area. Well, what? This exhibition where you come from?
Birmingham.
Oh, well, I mean, up till they didn't invite me up in Birmingham yet. Vandenberg, and all that thing, I can't step on the patch yet. And Vandenberg, tell Vandenberg I must do a cultural exchange. There should be something about it down there. He's a close shop. Men in trash all the time, you know. I'm supposed to visit his allotment because actually this part of my life, what I'm really looking forward to do to spend more time in my allotment and finish reading War and Peace. Who read War and Peace? You got it? Halfway. I had 15 attempts. That's all I was attempting to do. And then one day, Empress come into my life, and she saw all these things, which is archival, and print, and said, you have to see them, because we're like on the 5th generation, and them don't know, and there's been a missing gap. There has been a missing gap with our youths, because the grandparents don't talk to them anymore. And I can remember, I've been through that thing, because when I was growing up, if I asked an elder, what is this and what is that, they'd say, shut up! You can pick the shit in the scene and that. We ask me questions, and this is a missing gap. No, seriously, I don't believe this has been a missing gap. This has been a missing gap in our issue. You must start on a picnic. You must talk, sorry about that. You must talk to your kids. We have to talk to them. grandparents must talk to the kids, and don't be ashamed to tell them about the issue. My son, I'm not ashamed now to tell them about my past, because growing up in the whole country, I had a deprived childhood growing up. I'm not about sympathy. But when I took it back, they gave me a little on in the little village I came from in Jamaica. And when my son saw my humble beginnings in the little board house, and I tell him I used to walk barefoot, he cried. Because, you know, some of us came to England and we done, you know, well for you. But he couldn't believe my humble beginnings. And now they're thinking to do a documentary, yeah, about me in Jamaica. But I can't go back to the neighborhood where I was growing up because there's a no-go here. So we have to get the local dam to take me. But we're working on that, yeah. I want to do a documentary about my life, yeah, in the old country, and pass on the legacy for up-and-coming photographers in Jamaica, in the whole country. But I'm so sad now, I can't go to the area where I was going because it's near Trenchtown, and it's a no-go here, the political situation in Jamaica. Yes?
Is the 3 shillings and 6pence boots booklet that taught you your craft?
That's right, yeah. Do it yourself.
Is it still available?
No, it's probably not collector's item. None of them. Then you do put them up in a boot fair, because I found a nice book in a boot fair, how to take off-frame photographs, that was published by Patterson. You know, it's a kit you used to get. But I started off with a quick kit. When my parents used to go to bed in the night time, I'd go in the bathroom, put a red bulb in the thing, and develop the one thing. And first thing I was a postcard size, so I used to sell it for 1.6. But I used to buy and sell it too expensive. Yeah. Who else is next?
I just wanted, because
we'll come to you after, brother.
Because Empress is here, it's something that is feasible and it's viable.
We'll talk to Empress, because Empress went in.
But you have to get to say so. You now have a situation where with what is it called? Black Panther.
Yeah.
The chains now know that that the African Caribbean community is a cinema going community like no other.
Well,
so you just mentioned that you got films. Those cinemas, most of the time they're empty. Let's take it up and say, you know, you want to fill your cinemas, yeah?
Yeah.
Put that kind of material that shows our history.
One of the things that really keeps me going, yeah? One of the things that keeps me going is when I see ladies like you, young people like yourself, and like you, because there's such a missing gap within an issue. You know, sometimes I've done a talk in the South Bank, what's that called? London School of Printing in South Carolina. Yeah? Yeah? And I'm so surprised. You know, one of the things that keeps me going, a lot of white kids nowadays come up to me and say, "Sir, we didn't know guys like you existed." Yeah? I went to school with a lot of black kids, but we didn't know like people like us was in the community. And it's very, very touching. This is young white kids. And you know what's happening? Some of these young white kids, you can talk to them in a park where they understand it more than the black kids who grew up in the land. Yeah, what is sad? Sometimes when I do the talk, I do it in a mighty, because some of the grandparents, they can't talk to the grandparents anymore. Yeah, we're coming up to the 6th generation, and you know, also we have a communication problem because the grandparents, they can't communicate with the grandparents. It is sad. Yeah, but now we have some of the white kids, they understand the dialect more than the young black kids. Seriously, it is shocking. I find it, and you know, when I see young kids now are more interested in my work, yeah, this is what keeps me going, and this is why I'm not enjoying the retirement. Anyway, I need to Empress.
No, he's not going anywhere.
Yeah, no,
this is an opportunity. May I just introduce myself? My name is Sister Empress Naya J. I'm a supporter of Charlie and his work. This is a griot that we have in our community, and someone that I feel at present is very undervalued, and we need your help to make everyone know about the great works of Charlie Phillips. The funeral exhibition, the book that accompanies, it's just one part of his work. Charlie's got images everywhere, so much so that we're stepping over them sometimes. When I go there with the intention to help archive, I'm like, there you go. Because he's just got images and he collects all the, all the memorabilia, all the obituaries, everything. But I'd just like to take 5 minutes more of your time, if I may. because there's a couple of things that I'm sure Charlie hasn't shared with you, and I'd like to extract them. I am conscious that there was a lady here somewhere that had a hand, and I think it would be nice to take your comment before we start.
Yeah, I won't speak too long, but firstly, thank you so much for doing
My
this
pleasure.
talk. It's, for me, something...
Will you?
Yeah, I
chat about it tomorrow over Sunday dinner. With the recipes and okay.
Yeah.
So,
I just want to say thank you for doing this talk. It means for me, it means so much for people I know who would have loved to be here, but they just didn't have the information and the resources, like able to get it quick enough. And when I told them they couldn't make it today. But I just really wanted two things. I really want to hear more about your books and where they can be purchased, because things like this are so important to me, who's a second generation Windrush. No, yeah, so third. Yeah, third. And it's so important to me to, so important for us to keep these alive, because our generation, we just sound British to most of our cousins, my godchildren. Even though we may talk in patois at home and so forth, but how do we keep these things alive if these books aren't available to us? And like these exhibitions go away, they come for a short time, and they're just only when there is a talk or a discussion that people suddenly think we need them. But for me, it's something bigger than the Brixton archives. It needs to be something that we have archives in our house. So that's the first thing. My second thing is, please, the social media, and do you know what, even here today, I'm more than happy to tweet, re-message, if there's some sort of information. I love social media, and I think it's a great platform for us now to keep the history alive, and what you're doing is amazing. I want to ask you so many more questions about
go on, ask one more, come on.
So do you still take pictures now?
No.
Okay.
Because I can't compete. I refuse to go digital. Yeah, because digital photographers make me redundant. And I do things the old-fashioned way. I haven't even got a computer. Yeah, I can't correspond with anybody by email, but I have an email address where people can correspond with. But I prefer human contact. Isn't that more sweeter? Yeah, I take pictures, yes, but sometimes after time to beat the gate to get in free. But I still take pictures.
Where are you going to be next? So
Tony, all right, come in. Huh?
Where are you going to be next?
I don't know. You see, one of the things that every time I give a talk now, you see, it becomes political. Because when I say it becomes political, we're stepping over, I don't know if I'm stepping over the line. It's up to the people who's in charge of the culture of London to know that there's been an hidden history, hidden culture, who deserve to be given proper spaces in some of these big cultural institutions, because I feel as taxpayers we're not well represented, yeah? And I refuse, point blank, they only call you up when Black History Month, and I'm sure our history can't last a month. But no, yeah? I refuse to play that color game, yeah? So this is why I'm not very popular with some of the big cultural institutions, because I only call you out for Black History Month because you're a black photographer. You must have a photograph, a white image, a photograph of every nationality. I don't want to compare, yeah? So this is why I'm saying we keep it cultural, because this is why at some of the big culture, I won't call the names, where I get in conflict with them, because you go in any of the big cultural institutions, you don't see anything I can identify with, or I can, which represents us. Yeah? There's other, I have to be politically correct, yeah? But it's serious. But as taxpayers, you have to petition the politician, and you have to petition the people who's in charge of the culture in London, because we deserve a proper platform. Our history is not just about carnival, or our history is not about just Windrush, yeah? Or our history is not about slavery, because within the community, within our community, we have talented people, yeah? We have talented artists, we have talented writers, poets, and they still haven't been given a proper platform, and I feel very strongly about that. Very strongly, and I'm very outspoken about that. So this some of the cultural institutions, they don't invite me to talk anymore because I upset the runnings. But I'm very honored. And I say it without any apologies.
Give the people a chance to hear a bit more about
Yeah, you are reading. Shall you read?
I will, but I'm going to ask you something that I think the audience will be interested in. Will I do that? Yes? Yeah? So, okay, so this is a copy here, authentic copy, probably the only remaining one of this How Great Thou Art. Did you tell the audience why you gave the title to the book?
Because the title, why I told them that because it was the theme song for every Afro-Caribbean. It was the main song, being part of the service for all the funerals, Afro-Caribbean funerals, yeah. But now, after 50 years, the culture has been diverted, has changed. Nowadays they want to hear How Great Thou Art or Simply the Best or song from afar. And all that, yeah.
But that has its place. But
and don't worry about that thing. And don't worry about that thing when the God, everything is going to be all right. Yeah, all right.
But you and I have journeyed many a time. I would get a call from Charlie. Empress, where are you? Where are you? No. You know, so someone drop out. We forgot the funeral. I'm like, Charlie, I'm working. No, Empress, no, you have to come out. So we have in a lot of our icons, as he said, especially from the music era that have passed. But Charlie has had the honor and the privilege of documenting their funerals. I know that we went to one that was very special to you, the one Jude.
Jude Bin,
Jude Bin. What was it about Jude?
No, you see, now we talk about Jude Bin, yeah, because it was, and I say this without any apologies, he's been left out of the history books, yeah, he's been left out of the history book because what is now popular British music, yeah, they still haven't acknowledged. They still have, the institution still haven't acknowledged our contribution and our presence. Okay, this Duke Finn as a kid, when I was 6, I used to run away, I used to sneak out of the house just to listen to his song because he played the latest rhythm and blues record. Yeah, you can look at the archive, look at the Roaring Twenties, and I had to bring it to Fruition when they had the Carnival Street celebration. There used to be a club called the Roaring Twenties. And he was the main part. Okay. In the early 60s, you start, who's now a lot of famous musicians. I used to see it in my own eyes. They used to come down to listen to our music. Yeah? Because if it wasn't for our diaspora, I'm saying this, we gave Britain the Beatles, we gave Britain the Rolling Stones, we gave Britain Elton John. And I say this without any apology because and nothing is mentioned in their early career. Nothing is mentioned in their early career where they got their inspiration from. Even Eric Clapton, because all used to come down the Roaring Twenties and they used to come find these black shoebeans to listen to the music. And some of these guys used to, even the Rolling Stones, used to borrow records from Count Suckle. Yeah, and these guys have been left out of mainstream British history. Our contribution to what is now popular British music hasn't still been acknowledged. All right, they give us a little break with the reggae, but it just wasn't about that, the music. And you know what's hurtful? Nowadays in these big shows, you will see a musician are called as a supporting bill. Oh, this is good, yeah? And I say this without any apologies. Yeah, thank you. Okay, we're getting politics now. Keep it cultural. Keep it cultural, yeah. But you know, there's lots of our icons who passed away, and they didn't have any acknowledgement, yeah? Nowadays, when you hear about the Chemical Brothers, and Fatboy Slim, and Deidre Trevor Nelson, who earns a bomb, and these guys used to play for £20 a night from the sound, you know? And these guys earn what? £30,000 a session. Yeah, big Fatboy Slim. I'm going out of space to find another. Yeah, I find a Fatboy Slim sometimes.
All right, Charlie. So you have the exhibition upstairs has a lot.
The exhibition is upstairs. Yeah. I'll take you on a personal tour.
There are
stay long.
5 accompanying essays with the book.
Yeah. You want to read one?
There is one here that I had the honor, invitation to pen on behalf of Charlie and the project. And most people here, like me, may have lost someone very, very close to them. Every loss is a loss, but when I lost my mother, my queen mother as I call her, back in 1998, I had penned that experience in my journal, because I journaled every day. And in conversation with Charlie, he said, Empress, you know what, you need to kind of condense it and put it into this book for me so that other people can share that. So I'd like to, if I may, read to you an excerpt from the book. This particular one is called Sister Love and the Role of Women
in African and Caribbean Funerals, written by Empress Maya J. From the initial telephone call of empathy, coupled with journeying to and from the house of mourning, sister love is activated. This is a love that waits in reserve until the time it is required. The sisters that journey to comfort the bereaved range from close to distant relatives and friends, to those with no blood ties, but who unite with the bereaved in grief. We women make ourselves available to stand shoulder to shoulder with the bereaved, and women will step in and respond to their needs. I have felt sister love when my sister stepped in to give emotional support and practical help when my Queen Mother died. My sister would prepare meals, take the children to school, offer comfort and restoration of daily routines that were disrupted as a result of their loss. Sisters encouraged me to keep on keeping on, providing practical assistance such as first visits to the grave after the funeral, distribution, storage, removal, and disposal of personal belongings from the home, help with the endless paperwork and notifying authorities of my loss. It is common knowledge that the effects of bereavement and loss can last for years after the death of a loved one. The days following the funeral are often the hardest. Telephone calls and visits begin to decline, and the next phase of the grieving process takes over one's feelings and memories. Sister love can provide much needed support and comfort, helping the bereaved to grieve but move on with their lives while holding on to the good memories they have of their loved one. Although some families allow the funeral home to dress the body, the role of dressing the body is in the majority of cases left to the women. This involves selecting the clothes that will be worn by the deceased. My Queen Mother was buried in one of her favorite going out dresses. Her adornment was important to her in life, and we felt it befitting that this was also reflected in death. We buried her, as she requested, in her three-tone beige and brown dress with a strong floral print. She wore tights and gold isotona slippers. Her hair was styled and draped with a lace scarf to match her gloves and a small clutch purse. Older Afro-Caribbean women generally pay particular attention to their adornment, but even more so when they are attending a funeral. They are more likely to adhere to tradition and wear modest clothing in black or white. Trousers would not be considered an option. It is generally agreed that the outfit is completed with a hat, which is usually black, and kept in reserve strictly to be worn at funerals. A few will opt for a scarf or a head tie or a head wrap. There was an occasion when I accompanied my mother and two of my aunts to a funeral of their friend who had lost her husband. The widow was not traditionally dressed, and on our departure, this topic, gossip, was raised by my mother and my aunts, who were insistent that this woman should have worn a hat as a mark of respect to her husband and to set a good example. I did not dare object or butt in or challenge this conversation. Singing was another role. The women take on at funerals at 9 nights, the singing. Sometimes you find it very difficult, as I did at my mother's funeral, to sing, especially at the graveside. It felt as if the lump in my throat at the time was blocking my airways, coupled with a heavy feeling in my chest. But their voices could be distinctly heard singing hymns during the service and also at the graveside, where the voices were joined together and the harmonies of the Sankeys, which are our special hymns, echoed through the cemetery and continued until the grave had been filled and all the flowers had been arranged on the grave. It is customary and upheld tradition for men to assist in the filling of the grave. Once the grave has been filled and leveled, women complete the decoration of the grave, paying meticulous attention to how the floral tributes are arranged. At my Queen Mother's funeral, I took part in decorating the grave alongside other family members, mostly women, as we paid careful attention to how we arranged the wreaths and the bouquets. The attention paid to selecting floral tributes and the decorating of the grave is one of our cultural traditions that have been retained from generation to generation. Family members in particular will go to great lengths to create a wreath that reflects something about the deceased. I can recall how therapeutic it was taking part in creating a floral tribute that covered my mother's entire grave. I could literally feel the tension easing away from me at that time, especially when the soil was no longer visible. I took the time to read every card as it was detached from the flowers and handed to me. These messages and cards were very moving, with personal sentiments, and I wept openly when these words touched my soul. To this day, I have them in safekeeping, often revisiting them on the memorial of my Queen Mother's death and funeral. The effect on my emotions is different now. My teardrops have been replaced with smiles and sometimes laughter on reading the comments and recalling the relationships and stories behind the messages. I share Charlie's view that humour plays an important role at the nine-night funeral and the celebration of life. At the nine-night, people often share their stories about the deceased, and references are made to their unique characteristics. The humorous side of their personality will be highlighted, evoking a chain reaction of laughter as individuals recall having similar experience with the deceased when they were alive. At the celebration of life that takes place after the funeral, women will often take the lead in organising the catering and ensuring that the mourners are well fed. They will cook, prepare and serve dishes with the exception of the manish water, a goat offal-based soup. Traditional dishes such as corrigota rice, fried fish, fried or oven-baked chicken, fried dumplings, saltfish fritters, are all prepared by the women or hired caterers. At the celebration of life, younger women take direction from elders, passing on our strong tradition of female caretaking. I feel a real sense of pride as a woman, as a sister, when I reflect on how we, the sisterhood, respond to and turn out in support of those who have lost someone. Grief can unite women, and at this time, our collective strength can be felt. Women bring grace, strength, dignity to the funeral, qualities and attributes that, in my opinion, need to be preserved and handed down from generation to generation. Ashe.
Okay, I'll take a few more questions, and if you want to come for a walk upstairs, yeah? Is it all right to take them upstairs? I want to thank the National Theatre for giving us a platform. Okay, any more questions?
Yeah, a few more questions and then we should, because it'll get busy upstairs soon.
Yeah, all right then, yeah.
What camera did you use?
Depends what era. I started off on a Kodak Brown, and then I went off. The camera that the GI left was a Kodak Renetta. Then I went on. I never hit the big times because I couldn't afford Hasselblad. Yeah, the furthest I went was a Nikon or a Leica. That's recently. Is that it?
Yeah.
Any other questions?
Any other questions?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Remember you said you ain't got a computer or none of that, like, you're endangering, like, basically?
No, because I know people question. Go on. But before I know the question.
So if you think you're in danger, like basically like leaving yourself like behind in that, like, because obviously like things evolve and nothing stays the same. Like things change, evolve, improve. So do you think like you're in danger of like basically like people basically forgetting about you? Because that's how people communicate now through social media. And for you not to take that.
Not me. Not me. They took me out of return because I still believe in human contact. And I have a phobia about computers. Whoever saw that film 2001? You ever saw that film, sir? And what happens? I personally feel with this computer age, we've lost lack of human communication. Yes, both with the household and the computer hasn't got answers to everything. Because my thing, you never sit on a computer, for instance, yeah, live and direct. You see, and it's all right for some, but I'm saying I like to keep my mind active and I like to communicate with people, and it's a thing that I personally think it causes a lot of social issues. I know kids. I know kids right now. This guy, I've done a talk one time and showed some photograph, and this little kid said, "I can do that." And I said, "Can you really?" I said, that's 60 years worth. Yes, but I can do that, man. I can do it on my computer. Yeah, you understand? This is all the computer age. I've personally feel. Now I've got out of the rat race as well. Yeah, because I'm a pensioner now, and I said I've got all the rat race money and going out the rat race with a hustle and bustle and bullshit every year and to make a quick buck. I've gone out of it. And as I said to the audience, I thought I'd have a nice piece of life. All I wanted to do was to attend the allotment, grow the rose garden, grow some tomato, and finish reading, catch up on my reading War and Peace, Philosopher of Pinner, and Marcus Garvey. These are books I set aside. The Iliads of Homer. I do have no time. Anyway, this is what gives this lady a big round of applause. Stand up because she's from my turf. More the Latin Grove posse, and I thought I'd see more the Tabernacle posse. I invite them all out for a nice cultural afternoon. And she, no, serious, she's a woman. No, seriously. Thanks for coming, I really appreciate it. And you can tell them back, that you had a good time, what they missed out on. Yeah? No, seriously, I'm very touched. She's the only one from Latin Grove, from my turf.
2 more questions if there's any.
Yeah.
You indicated that you did your own processing when you started out.
When I started out.
Did you carry on very long, and when you stopped doing it, who did you entrust it to?
No, I entrusted it to other printers, but right now we're setting up a darkroom over in Peckham, because sometimes I miss the darkroom very much. I find it very therapeutic, especially when I print at midnight and listen to some nice Jimi Hendrix and Otis Redding in the background music, Crosby, Still and Nash. I find it very therapeutic. So now I've been enticed to join the darkroom over in Peckham. Yeah, but I'll go back to the days where you used to go to the local chemist, and the fix I never used to pay because the chemist, you take old Guinness brown bottle, and then, this is how far I go. I've done a talk for Kodak once. The Kodak company invited me to a talk, and when I showed them my collection of Kodak cameras, there's still an invitation pending for me to go to Rochester, in New York, to visit, yeah. And they didn't know that people like us still exist, and I told them more the history because I've been through it with Kodak, yeah. And then I remember the time when you go to the chemist and you'd ask him to fill a bottle up, fix them. The chemist used to make it up for you, and the bromide print, yeah. So it's amazing how the technology has changed. And what happens nowadays, this is why I refuse to go digital, because there's no, no offense, you point and shoot, yeah? Then you can take 1,000 snaps for decide one. No offense, Gerald, yeah? When film was filmed, you had a roll of film with 12, and you hope you get 4 or 6 good ones out of it, yeah? Yeah, stay still, don't move, smile, back.
Yeah. Sorry, I think there's one more question, last one from Dave.
What tools do you use, or strategy, I guess, to properly expose dark skin?
What's that?
What tool or what strategy, I guess, do you use to properly expose dark skin?
To expose. Depends what era as well, yeah? It's a very technical question, yeah? The era when I started taking photographs, we weren't known as black people. We were known as colored people. And for some unknown reason, seriously, and some unknown reason, it's not till recently, especially if you look at a black and white print, you get that nice black tone. Years ago, you couldn't present, it had to be grey or lighter, you know? And this was when it was known as colored people. But like after the 70s, you could do a real nice, sharp, black and white photograph of a person of color. It's a different era, yeah? That era, when I started, was known as colored people. You see the colored girl and around, and most black people, didn't like it nice and contrast, and yeah, because they used to leave it light, and you could take it to the shop, and they painted it in. Those type of photographs you hardly see, but our grandparents still have them, yeah? They like to see the color. This is when color film was expensive, too, you know, but now color film is cheaper than black and white. Anyway, that's it.
Can we say an immense thank you to Charlie?
Thank you. Oh my God, what a nice round of applause. Thanks for listening to me, yeah? Thanks for listening to me. The last time I talk like this, the psychiatrist started 54.
If anybody wants to join us, we'll go upstairs. The exhibition's on to the end of me, so if you can't join us just now, come back to the next exhibition. Thanks for coming.
Thanks.
Is everybody there key?
Them coming, you just tell her.
Yes. So we're everything. Ciao.
I know, she never come. Never tell her.
Yeah, where's the one that says night? We should have started over the other side, yeah? But this is like a typical after party, yeah? And this is where, this is a very iconic shot because it was a mechanic, local mechanic, and the night was held in his garage. A night is usually after 9 years of the person perish. Yeah. Oh, now they are quickly for you, so yeah. But that's part of the tradition, yeah. As Empress was saying, this is where all the ladies look after the food, you see, and see the food that they're serving up, and that where all the ladies get together.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Yeah? Any questions out there? Yeah? But that's part of the second part of the exhibition. Yeah? We had to put some here, yeah? Because especially that one which says 9/9. Yeah? But as I said, it's not just about mourning, it's about celebrating people's life as well. What's going on here?
It's another group.
Oh yeah, they might get lost.
Hi. I don't put any good words for you already.
Friday night.
Hi.
I'll lead the way, yeah?
Let him take you, go on.
I'll lead the way.
Yes.
I'll go forward. I thought Lascelles and all that would have come, you know.
Did you send him an invitation?
He knows about it.
Okay.
Because I told him
You're taking
I told him last week.
Okay.
But you know.
When and she just complimented me on the game. She said it was brilliant. She did.
Yes. I just saw Cecil was a course. Never mind. Over by the BFI. Boots and Gallery. Yeah, up here. Here we are. Hi, good afternoon. Good afternoon. Thanks for coming. Yeah. Is everybody here?
Hold on. Sister Jackie.
Sometimes funeral processions, yeah, the local authority has begun to come to their senses to allow us to use the streets, yeah. And this is, for instance, Cherry Grove's funeral, yeah, and it went right through to Brixton, and everybody was in the procession right from Brixton to Streatham Cinema, yeah. This is the famous Mangrove restaurant where there was a big case on Frank Critchlow. That's a famous restaurant of the Mangrove. Yeah.
Well, you heard that Roden went through?
Yeah, I heard that. We lost another icon. This was an old soldier. This was the old soldiers, Captain Sam. He served in the last World War. All this has been forgotten about, and he had more or less a military send-off. That's Gregory Isaacs. This is from an undertaker called Mr. Nova, and he was the first one to adjust to know how to conduct Caribbean funeral. And this is our local priest, especially if you're in the Latin Grove, not looking area. They're always buried at that church, and he knows the sermon right out, yeah? Okay.
No black undertakers?
We're getting there now. We have one or two now. We're having one or two. We're having one or two. Now, this is what I'm talking about. Funeral has changed. Isn't that dapper? You didn't expect that to be at a funeral, but you know, you got to talk. It's also about fashion. It's also about movements. It's also about culture. Yeah, and this is the one. Nowadays, when you want an African theme, they have what you call a libation as well before the ceremony starts. We had a libation when it was opened and.
So did you say you had a libation when the exhibition?
No, it's a ceremony to allegedly to meet your ancestors in the next life. Because don't forget, a lot of people overlook Afro-Caribbeans are more or less, as simple as we're more spiritual. We're more spiritual, even though some of us are as converted to Christianity. The reason why we have the libation is to make it more spiritual, and it's the blessing of the ancestors. Now, during the ceremony, they usually ask, "Do you wish your ancestors to be blessed?" And people came up with names like Martin Luther King, Martin Luther King, and other prominent people in the community. It could be your grandparents, it could be your great grandparents, it could be your wife, your husband, your daughter. So you have a libation to celebrate the ancestors, well, because it's part of the spiritual world. You know, in African tradition, life is more spiritual than anything. So this is where it's overtaken from Christianity. So. If you look at this case now, yeah, this is he's well known. In fact, we're coming up to the 5th generation. People has booked their burial spot with him. 3 generations of people. His name is Robin, and he's a well-known. Most of the Afro-Caribbean community in Notting Hill knows him by his first name, and people has made plans. I know one family has got 4 plots in Kensal Rise Cemetery, and it's full up now. You know, but they made reservation many years ago, and that's the man to see. He used to arrange plots before you pass away, and is well known in the community. Robin, yeah. So this is some of the celebration you have in the procession. You have steel bands, yeah. Some of the instruments. This photograph is a very popular photograph because Range Rover used it on their catalog cover. Yeah, yeah. There you go.
some people still believe in some of the old traditions as well, you know, and where some of the African funerals has taken over. If you were a sea captain or if you were a fisherman, your coffin would be made like a canoe. If you were a captain, your coffin would be made like a ship. Well, this guy, he loved his Range Rover, his Land Rover so much, yeah, he never had a hearse. The coffin was put in the hearse because he was a local mechanic, and he asked, his wishes was to be, his Land Rover took his coffin to the and Land Rover used that for a cover photograph. Now this is one of the very type of old cinema, yeah? This lady is when you don't see them anymore, is what you'd call a saint. A saint, if you do not know the name of the song or the words of the song, they'd call it out and you sing over it, yeah? And that's a part of the tradition that's going away as well, yeah? Yeah. This lady, she would be what you call a saint, yeah? And she conducts a cinema. And anyway, in a few weeks' time, I hope they'll give me another platform because there's a real authoritarian on it as well. But he couldn't make it today. Okay, this is another tradition as well. He's Professor Gus John, and he's also believed in African ceremony, yeah? And this is another type of libation they have before the burial, yeah? This is when the Christian part of it fades away. Then when we go to the cemetery, they take over, yeah? This is when we have our own singing, the music, and the drinks, and
Charlie, you should add that is John LaRose's funeral.
That's John LaRose. Yeah, that's John LaRose's funeral. I saw his son, but he didn't turn up.
May I have your attention, please?
Yeah.
Because I've just seen Brother Lascelles.
We have enhanced security in place at the National Theatre. Because of this, everyone in the foyer areas
this is another interesting photograph.
Must now place them in our free cloakrooms. There are a number of signs throughout the
and what makes this funeral so weird, this lady was a well-known dressmaker. She was a well-known dressmaker. She was a well-known dressmaker, and sometimes at some funerals, yeah, if you were a mechanic, they'd throw some tools in your grave. But she was a dressmaker, so she had a wreath made out like a Singer sewing machine because she was a well-known dressmaker. So that went in the coffin. Some people throw a bottle of whiskey, some people throw some spliff, some people throw bits of everything, yeah? Depends on your profession. That's another tradition that's dying out as well, yeah? Which you don't see very often. This is one of them. This is another saint, yeah? When Empress told you that sometimes the women plays a big part in funerals as well, you know? Now, when the funeral is nearly finished, you'll find a lot of women around decorating the graves, yeah, decorating the grave, yeah, and she's having a last song when they lay all the flowers. This is when the women take over, yeah. The men usually fill the graves up, and when the grave is full, the women always decorate the graves, and that's part. Well, you still see that now, you know. This is someone who got, thank God the authorities allowed that to happen, you know, someone who got a day release to attend their parents' funeral, you know. He was locked up. And this is some of the celebration, the booze and the celebrating somebody's life. That's John LaRose's friend. Okay, what's very important about this funeral is John LaRose, but now modern day funerals, they ask you to wear a certain color. And on that particular day, I think this was, all the sheets were done in oranges, yeah? Because it was maybe his favorite color, yeah? Like the mangrove, their favorite color was blue. Everybody was asked to wear something blue, yeah? And this is how it's changed over the years, yeah? This is the weeping and the wailing, yeah? Which you hardly see, and I had to capture that. And I had to capture that. When people get so emotional, they want to go with a weeping and the wailing. party, yeah, where everybody starts to boogie and to celebrate the person's life, yeah. Okay, see if there's anything. Oh yeah. These are these two here is two of my earliest photographs, yeah. What do you see in this, yeah? Because this funeral was supposed to start, and the lady with the basket heard about it on the street. Yeah? She never got dressed, but she turned up with a shopping basket at the funeral, yeah? And this is the thing about Caribbean funeral, you don't have to be invited, yeah? Even though there used to be a strict dress code, this lady heard about the funeral and she said, what, she died? Like I heard about one day and I only had 2 hours notice to turn up. But these are some of the traditionals, yeah? And she turned up in her shopping, but she's there to pay her respect to the dead, yeah? And this is one of the earliest 60s type of photographs where, well, it's just an iconic photograph as well, you know? In color? In color, yes, it's a bit changed. Anyway, any questions?
Yes, did anybody object to being photographed while
It's in a public place. It's in a public place. A lot of people object, but 40 years later they're asking me back for the photograph. One of my philosophies, because I learned it from Cartier-Bresson, point, shoot, and ask questions after. No, seriously, but you know, it's like sometimes you're hunting. But funny enough, a lot of people did object in the days, but 40 years later, the grandkids, yeah, when we first opened, there was this family, 4 generations who didn't know their great-grandparents till one of the grandkids came here and said, that's your great-grand, and that's your granddad, and that's it. 3 generations of the family came here. They've never seen what their grandparents look like, yeah? But at the time they didn't, yeah? But now they thank me very much, and you know, because they have something to refer to. 4 generations came here the day after to see the grandparents and the great-grandparents, their grandma, yeah? Because they've never seen early photographs, 60s photographs. Keep history alive, keep the culture alive, pass it down, yeah? And oh, they'll have me back sometime, but that's yeah? Thank you very much.
Charlie.
Yeah?
Great stuff.
Nice one.
I will tell my friend.
Tell her for phone. I'll get her first time.
Hey, didn't you know that? I didn't know you knew him.
Yeah. Some people bought have a property down in Ely, but they're having a dinner party, you know? So.
A dinner party, so you were talking around the table?
Well, it was a ghetto, yeah. What was like, and all the shebeens, and before, when all the black people came in, what life was like, you know? Yeah, I've done a talk, I've done a tour.
But did you go there straight from Jamaica?
Huh?
Did you go? Is that where you went straight from?
Grove, yeah. And it's only one woman come from Grove. That's really bloody disappointing. Yeah? Wow. That lady who sings at the front, you know, quite she's seen my work over the years.
Your posse let you down?
My posse let me down. I thought the Mangrove crowd would have been here. I thought the Tabernacle crowd would have been here. I thought the All Saints Road crowd would have been here. I thought the Latimer
And you have such passion for that area because you always tell me about it.
Yeah, well, you know, I live over in Mitcham. Sorry, nothing happens there.
I see you all the time on your bike.
Everything finishes after news at 10. You see me all
the
time?
Yeah, I see you
and you never send out to me. Say you're going to Morrison's for a bargain too.
Yes.
Yeah? Or you clear out all the cheap half-price food
all
before
the reduced products.
All the reduced products before I go. Oh, yeah. Yeah, but nothing happens over. Everything finishes after news.
No, but what I was going to ask you, do you do anything locally within our area, within Mitcham?
Oh, they're so behind times, man. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, they're so behind times. You see the amount of money that we
to do the roads.
Who the bloody hell wants to come and visit? There's 3 Lidls in walking distance.
Yeah. Very true.
So I talk to them about the history.
I know.
Which is amazing. I'd love to do that, talk about the Rachel Nelson.
That's why I was asking you if you do anything locally in our
I'd love to talk about the people who own the seed company. I'd like to talk about the Roman ruins down there, because I'm sure there must be a few black people who grew up in Mitcham. But that council is so behind times, they're so brain dead. Yeah? Did you see that, you know, in London Road, that
big Regency house that used to be owned by a sea captain, you know. And you see the antrooms on top, because a lot of, and what the beauty about it, Mitcham was the Church of England owns half of the property down there because it was once a recreational centre for the bishops and the priests. Did you know that?
I didn't know that.
Yeah, well, the vicarage, I live beside the vicarage, and that used to be a tennis court. They used to come for convalescents.
Okay.
It's amazing. But Horatio Nelson used to have his hideaway down there, and down there you had one of the nanny for his the woman who was having an affair. He brought her back from Antigua. That's been written out of history.
Sure, he's a historian as well.
Yeah, Mitcham Common during the 1914 war, it was used to billet the West Indian service soldiers before the injured one before they went on to the military hospital in Brighton. And seriously, but you know, it's one of the worst councils out. The only thing I like about Mitcham is the town hall, because the architecture and beauty about it, and you go up and you see the views of London. But I'm sorry, they're brain dead down there.
Well, now that you know me, we can go down to the council.
No, but my local councillor, Shibona, what's her name? Shibona. What's her name? Shibona, the blondie one. What's she say? Yeah. I say I'd like to give you a bloody lie detector first before you want to talk. Seriously. They take the people for. It's a beautiful place. I do a lot of cycling, and I like to cycle.
I always see you on your bike.
I like to cycle over Mitcham Common, you know. But it's so full of history. It's so full of history, but they made it go dead. Honestly, especially Navy. Original was there. And the church. It's so It could. I told them to open a big camping site, like they do in Epping Forest, and you get all the people from Gatwick, the road travelers, let them camp out, easy access to London. The only thing they've done in Mitcham is when they build the train station, Mitcham Eastfield, Mitcham Eastfield, and you think after 11 o'clock you can't get a bloody train.
I know.
No, I'm sorry. So this is why I spend most of my time over in West London still, and honestly I spend.
You get stuck and you can't get home.
No, thank God they got the 50 years too late. They should have had all-night tube service from 50 years ago, 30 years ago at least. They got the Victoria and the Piccadilly line. Well, that's the biggest thing that's happened to London. So I can stay out longer over in West London.
We have to get on a drive to get Charlie back to Ladbroke Road.
No, I can't afford
He's always in Ladbroke Road. But his heart is there.
She's the only one from Ladbroke Road who comes back to that.
They need to put a plaque at your old house.
Well, but then not like a documentary, and it breaks my heart because my dad bought this place for what, £1,700, and he sold it for £4,000 and thought he made a big profit. The place is worth 2.something billion now. Well, you can't cry over this.
Never mind.
Would I be able to get your contact information for you to speak? I study photojournalism there, and every Wednesday we have a guest lecture.
A guest lecture, yeah. Where is it? London School of Communication?
Yeah, it's a part of the University of Arts London.
So which branch are you based in?
In Elephant Castle.
Elephant Castle, yeah. I've done 2 things there many years ago. You know?
50 years. How many years today? Just an hour.
I'll give him a card.